Good evening, everybody. On behalf of the Gandhinagar Lodge, I welcome you all to our study class of the Voice of Silence. Let's all join together in the universal invocation. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he's also one with every other. So today we continue with our fragment 2 studies from the point 158, fragment 158 to 179. Some of them are very brief, but overall very interesting. Welcome, Shindeji. Please
Thank you.
start your talk. Yes.
Yes, I am now adjusted myself. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Very nice. Well, today we will start with the Voice of the Silence, fragment second, from, as Vimalji announced, verses 158 to 179. So at the outset, I must thank to Gandhinagar Lodge. In spite of all these difficulties, they have started this and we are being connected online now to study the Voice of the Silence. Well, we'll deal with the fragment 158. All these, they deal with the wheel of life. And when we read that one, be Lanu like them. The very first instruction is, be O Lanu like them. Give light and comfort to the toiling pilgrim. Seek out him who knows still less than you, who in his wretched desolation sits starving for the bread of wisdom and the bread which feeds the shadow without a teacher, hope, or consolation, and let him hear the law. So, these, as I said, the wheel of life and the instructions are given. Then 159, it says, tell him, O candidate, that he who makes of pride and self regard bondmaiden to devotion, that he who cleaving to existence still lays his patience and submission to the law as a sweet flower at the feet of the Shakya. Thabbapa. Shakya Thabbapa, another name of the Buddha. And then he becomes a Srotapatti in this birth. The siddhis of perfection may loom far away, but the first step is taken and the stream is entered, and he may gain the eyesight of the mountain eagle, the hearing of the timid doe. Then in 160, tell him, again here, beginning with the B-O Lanu, like them, tell him, and the third he says, tell him, O aspirant, that true devotion may bring him back the knowledge. That knowledge which was his in former births. The Deva sight and Deva hearing are not obtained in one short birth. The verses are very clear. You read it again and again, and you himself understand the meaning of it, which is hidden between the lines. So here they say, be like them. That is first instance. Like them means like whom? Like Buddha. Be like them. Second instruction is give light and comfort to those who are not yet seen the light, not yet got that pleasure of the spirituality. And third step, let them hear the law. That law is the great law of birth and death, because it is very important. Let them know the law of harmony. Without the harmony within and without, there cannot be growth spiritually. So the teacher now tells the candidate how to assist those who are in need of guidance. That is in 159, he says, tell him, O candidate, that he who makes pride and self regard bond maiden to devotion, that he who cleaving to existence still lays his patience and submission to the law as the sweet flower at the feet of the Shankataba. Again, I said 159 explains the sweet flowers, a very great term they have used, because these sweet flowers laid at the feet of the Sankyataba means Buddha. So it is flowers laid. They are not flowers kept, but they are offered. So Sankhya Tubapa is the another name for the Lord Buddha. When it says offer the flowers, it is an offering of service and teacher. Yeah, sorry, service to the teacher. It is not simply giving, it is the service to the teacher. That is what seed offering the sweet flower. Some men find the ancient wisdom easy to digest because they fortunately have known and worked with the great law in former lives. They may expect to recover more speedily the acquired knowledge of previous existence. But for that, they need to have the eyesight of the mountain eagle and the hearing capacity of the timid doe, which are faculties of the definitely not the outer man but inner man. And these faculties are developing slowly, but only by those who are aware that to hear and to see need not be of a physical nature, but eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither has it entered into the heart of man to conceive the things which God has prepared for them that love him. So this appropriate is this passage from the uh, first Corinthians that I quoted. Eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither has it entered into the heart of man to conceive the things which God has prepared for them that love him. So here again and again it says, these faculties of mountain eagle eye sight and timid doe hearing are the faculties of inner man, and those faculties are like hear and see need not be of physical nature. And therefore, this I gave you quote, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither has it entered into the heart of man to conceive the things which God has prepared for them that love him. So our role is to love the God. then whatever faculties are to be developed, they will develop when the time comes. But again, this verse says, when the first step is taken, only few disciples look back because it is the inner self which has made this decision. And this inner self is a opponent of the lower self. And therefore, it is exactly about turn from pravritti marga to nivritti marga in traditional way, we can say. So here it is also stated, stream winner. Stream winner, first stage of the path of nirvana. This stage, he who has entered the stream, once you enter the stream, once you take the first step is the last step, then stream will carry him in time to the ocean of nirvana. And this stage marks the first vision of liberation from the ways of men to the divine life within. That means from worldly things to the spiritual things. This is the first step to turn our face towards the path of liberation or path of nirvana. But it also says it is the culmination of many years and lives of self preparation. It is not an easy task. In this phase, where realization of basic principles of dharana finally become the fruits by right efforts of holy life, he gets through false views and intoxicant of lust. So this is what stream used here, stream winner. So this stream winner, Srotapurti, in this birth, he attains the siddhis of perfection, may loom far away. But the first step is taken, the stream is entered, and he may gain the eyesight of the mountain eagle, the hearing of the timid doe. So tell him, O disciple, that true devotion may bring him back the knowledge which was his in former birth. The Deva sight and the Deva hearing are not obtained in one short birth. So we have to begin with the first step is the entering the stream. Then let us also know the further step as it is described in various literature. The further step is you are allowed to return once to the wheel of birth and death. Then third step is the step not returning. And then the fourth step is the Arhat step. He is called venerable. And then the fifth step is Aseka step, that is the master. So to become the master, after fourth initiation, he becomes the master. That is fifth initiation. Fourth initiation is Arhat. So after Arhat, he becomes the master. So these are the stages we study in the theosophical literature. And we go further. Once we understand this, then we'll go again. Some of the details I would like to explain first. Divine sight or divine hearing as the devas, but these psychic powers are frequently developed on the way to enlightenment. But remember, they are not consciously acquired, but they are byproduct of your living, deliberate training to get those developed lower egos. So true devotion is so to live as to cultivate only those things in ourselves which will bring to friction, the innate power of the inner man, the eternal self. So the true student will, at every step of the way, know no compromise between right and wrong. That is what at the feet of the master is said. There is no compromise on spiritual path between right and wrong. Whatever is right, you have to select. Because for to become one with the great evolutionary plan and to assist in the great work, he must be utterly pure in heart and also pure in mind, which means complete selflessness, having no motives for the self glorification. Then I have to show you some project slides here. So we are talking about the uh, you are so much more than what meets the eye. So what you see is not the complete one. There are limitations to these physical eyes, to these fleshy eyes. In the next slide, I have shown three eyes, two eyes to look and one eye to see. Look here, that third eye is the spiritual eye, and these two are the fleshy eyes, and these are required for the inner peace. Then I have shown one more child, just it is for saying, even a child of 5 months, etc., of human child, whenever it looks at flower, it is really gazing. And here, this animal is definitely gazing. See its look, how penetrating it is. So, such kind of look, which penetrates deep into inner thing. Now, next go 161 to 170. These are the one line verses. I will read them. Be humble if thou wouldst attain to wisdom. Simple one. Be humble if thou wouldst attain to wisdom. Second, be humbler still when wisdom thou hast mastered. Then be like the ocean, which receives all streams and rivers. The ocean's mighty calm remains unmoved. It feels them not. Restrained by thy divine, thy lower self. Restrained by the eternal, the divine. Great is he who is the slayer of desire. Still greater he in whom the self divine has slain the very knowledge of desire. Guard thou the lowest, lest it soil the higher. The way to final freedom is within thyself. That way begins and ends outside of self. Here, 164 to 170. These three, 161, 62, 63 are be humble, be humbler, be like ocean. These are simple verses. But 164 says, restrain by thy divine, thy lower self. Here, very deep, from 164 to 170, all these explore, we must explore three levels of self identifications. And these three levels of self identification are number one is the identification with the lower self. Second, identification with the divine within, that is higher self. And then become free to be one with the eternal free self. So here it is restrained by thy divine, thy lower self, restrained by the eternal, the divine. Great is he who is the slayer of desire. Still greater he in whom the self divine has slain the very knowledge of desire. Guard thou the lower list, lest it soil the higher. The way to final freedom is within thyself. That way begins and ends outside self. So here, higher cannot come out of the lower. Let us remember this. This is the evolutionary plan. Whatever higher self we have got this in the process of psychogenesis, in the process of individualization during the evolution. So it has not come from the lower. It is definitely a grace from the above. And whatever lower we have, our basic human nature does not result from animal evolution. And therefore, we don't get the connection between animals and human beings. They are definitely higher cannot come out of the lower. So this is very great thing they have said. When it says be humble, be humbler, a man of eager mind who can grasp concept of thought utterly beyond the average man, because he becomes able to grasp that thing. And when he grasps, don't go on claiming and don't do public. Be humble, because he is more aware of the limitless extent of the unknown. The circumstances of his circle, his horizon of thought is definitely vaster. And for that reason, he stands in reverent awe. Reverent awe is a stage. When you are looking at something, then you begin to looking through it, and you see that sunrise and sunset with very reverent awe. It is the presence of the unknown. And therefore it is said, be like the ocean which receives all streams and rivers. The ocean's mighty calm remains unmoved. It feels them not. So reverent awe is one should not feel of it. So a candidate must remain calm as he moves among the disturbing influences around. That is, permitting none to agitate him. In this manner, he trains his lower vehicles to respond solely to the commands of the higher self. Again and again it is said how we can uh, command over the lower self. And it also says higher self is not the product of lower self, but you must have command over the lower self. Then restrain by thy divine, thy lower self. Be reborn into the true divine self. Then the divine self will learn to be restrained by the eternal, the spirit of the cosmos. Here we must use our talent. It is the hard work is necessary to use our talent. Hard work only beats the talent. When talent does not work hard. So talent is very important, and that can be built by hard work. The ego should be allowed to control the lower man. The ego then may more easily come under the influence of the monad, the divine self. A great is he who is slayer of the desire. Still greater is he in whom the self divine has slain the very knowledge of desire. The pupil who is seeking to overcome his weakness must constantly guard the lower vehicles from being caught in the net of unwanted habits including cleanliness, not only outwardly cleanliness, but also inwardly is very essential if the pupil wishes to refine his nature. Then it says, guard thou the lower lest it soil the higher. Remember here how the higher is soiled from the lower when there is no connection between lower and higher. But there is a nature of the higher to attract towards the matter, and it gets materialized. Somehow it gets entangled in the matter. So we say, Atma me shuddhantam, Antaratma me shuddhantam. Like this, layer by layer, that Antaratma is also getting polluted. Remember, the divine fragment within each one of us can do nothing for us unless we first make ready for its unfoldment. But how to unfold? Only by only by those thoughts and emotions which help to merge the lower man with the higher self. Again, here comes the thought power and uh, moral evolution emotionally. Then only the lower man with the higher self can merge. Thy way to final freedom is within thyself. That way begins and ends outside self. That is what I just explained. Higher cannot come out of the lower, lower cannot create higher, it does not evolve from the lower. So salvation or attainment rests solely with man, as he has free choice either to lift himself out of ignorance or to remain in the ignorant phase unenlightened. Choice is yours. So this is what this the wheel of life is explained. Then we'll go to the next. It says the way of the Arhat. Here, from this, the subject of the voice of the silence changes. When we read these verses, in 171 it says, unpraised by men and humble is the mother of all rivers. In Tirthika's proud sight. Unpraised by men and humble is the mother of all rivers in Trithika's proud sight. Empty the human form, thou filled with the Amrit sweet waters in the sight of fools. Vitthal, here it is used Vitthal, the birthplace of the sacred rivers is the sacred land, and he who wisdom has is honored by all men. Speaking about Arhat in 172, it written, Arhat and sages of the boundless visions are very rare as is the blossom of the Audumbara tree. Arhats are born at midnight hour together with the sacred plant of 9 and 7 stalks, the holy flower that opens and blooms in darkness, out of the pure dew and on the frozen bed of snow-capped heights, heights that are trodden by no sinful foot. So this is explained about the enlightened ones and arhats. This subject is changed here. It is entirely about the, we can say, nature of the masters. nature of the sages, nature of the enlightened ones. Then we go one by one by the steps of this. Then in 173 it says, no Arahat, O Lanu, becomes one in that birth when for the first the soul begins to long for final liberation. Yet, O thou anxious one, no warrior volunteering fight in the fierce strife between the living and the dead. Not one recruit can ever be refused the right to enter on the path that leads towards the field of battle. Here we are said again and again, we cannot hinder the wish of anyone who wishes to enter the spiritual path. That also, as a human being, we must observe. We have no right to uh, block one's spiritual growth. That is what our characteristics spoken here. This all tells us the treading of path is a hard task. The longest journey definitely begins with the first step. And here Audumbara is said. What is this Audumbara tree? Let me tell. This is a ficus tree, ficus variety. We call it as the fig tree. There is a fig fruit like it. And the legend says that it bears a lotus of immense size only once in 3,000 years. Hence, it is analogous to the rare appearance of Buddha. But in botanical term, we study this fig tree. I have seen this fig fruit. When you open this variety of fruit, the flowers are inside. And it is a ball-like fig. We eat also that one. Flowers are inside. And those flowers are pollinated by only one species of insect. I have to find which that species pollinates that flower. But it is said like this. So the meaning, the spiritual meaning of this flower blooms after 3,000 years. That is what they want to convey here. Let me explain. The beginning with the term, the mother of all rivers. In the first one, it is said, mother of all rivers. Amrit, sweet waters, is the essence of life itself. So to all those who seek her, to them she confirms immortality. The few who have received enlightenment are sought and honored by all mankind. The Tirthikas, according to the footnote given by Voice of the Silence, Tirthikas are Brahminical sectarians beyond the Himalayas who are called selfish by the Buddhists. The adjective round could be translated as meaning selfish. That is what the HPB writes in footnote. So these sages, whose numbers are usually small, are called children of light. And the sacred plant Audumbar represents man. Man, as he buries his roots deep in Mother Earth, using the nourishment from his growth, rather for his growth, while his branches reach heavenward, aspiring ever upward towards his rightful place in the hierarchy of glorious beings. The symbol of man is either a tree or a flower, and the branches or petals give further information as to his growth in the vast mystery of God's great evolutionary plan. Seeking further of these stages, uh, Paracelsus wrote, I read it about them. They live in various parts of the world.
आप रोज कॉफी के आप बड़ो सारे आया है क्या नहीं?
So they live in the various parts of the world and do
Uh,
not meddle with the politics.
Excuse
Their
me,
business is
Shinde ji. Shinde ji, could you speak a little louder? Little louder.
is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Some sound is not okay. I went
No,
full
your volume is low. Can you speak little louder?
okay. Okay. The Parcellers wrote, they live in various parts of the world and do not meddle with the politics. Their business is to do as much good to humanity as it is in their power, and to drink wisdom from the eternal fountain of truth. Some live in Europe. I will increase the volume 1 minute. Volume is full now. Is it okay? Hello?
It is okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
I increased the volume. So some live in Europe, others in Africa, but they are bound together by the harmony of their souls, and they are therefore as one. They understand each other, although they speak in different tongues, because the language of the sages is spiritual perception. This important verse, because it says the sages whose numbers are usually small and how they are, what is their nature is explained. Then in 173, the Arhat is also said the same thing. So spiritual one can treat the path by identifying himself with all that lives, and so he gradually frees himself from the confines of the lower self. Before the final liberation, it is said, Arrasip is one where there are many births to be lived through. And we have been told 777 births are lived to be for liberation. The Master KH once said, there are only two kinds of people, those who know they are said to be living, and those who do not know they are said to be the dead. So, spiritual living and spiritual death. Remember this, there are only two kinds of people who are spiritually living and the other kind who are spiritually dead. This is what subject is changed, I told you in the beginning. Here, they have changed the subject and they explain the hidden one. Now we'll go to the 174. The way of Arhat is given here from 174 to 176. That says no effort goes in vain. We will either win or fall in the course of reading the path. If we win, we get reward. If we fall, there is next life. So for either he shall win or he shall fall. It begins with this. E, if he conquers, nirvana shall be his. But before that, he should cast his shadow of his mortal coil, that pregnant cause of anguish and illimitable pain. To him will men a great and holy Buddha honor. And if he falls, then he does not fall in vain. The enemies he slew in the last battle will not return to life in the next birth that will be his. But if thou wouldst nirvana reach or cast the prize away, let not the fruit of action and inaction be thy motive, thou of dauntless heart. So, very nice poetic terms, but we need to understand. H.P. Blavatsky has given us, explained us about the road. HPB says about the occult road, not the path, but occult road. There is a road, she says, which is steep and thorny, beset with perils of every kind. This I am quoting from the volume 13 of his collected writings. What she speaks about the road, she says there is a road, it is steep and thorny, beset with perils of every kind, but yet a road, and it leads to the very heart of the universe. I can tell you how to find, who will show you the secret gateway, the gateway that opens only inside and closes fast behind the, uh, when he enters inside, back door is closed. He cannot return back. Further, she assures, there is no danger. There is no danger. There is no trial. There is no difficulty. But for whom? Then she explained, there is no danger that dauntless courage cannot conquer. So here, there is no danger if you have dauntless courage. There is no trial if you are pure enough. Spotless purity can pass through. So there is no trial that spotless purity cannot pass through. There is no difficulty that strong intellect cannot surmount. So what it says, we should have courage, we should have purity, we should develop our intellect. And then she says, for those who win onwards, there is a reward past all telling, the power to bless and save humanity. What is this reward? You are able to read past lives, and also you get the power to bless others and thus save humanity. This is the reward. When there is dauntless courage, when there is spotless purity, when there is strong intellect, only you will conquer and you will win. And those who win, they get the reward of these siddhis, of blessing to humanity. But again, she says, for those who fail, there are another lives in which success may come, which indicates no spiritual efforts go in vain. So what one needs to remember is, before final liberation is achieved, the arhatship is won. There are many births to be lived through. That is what Master K.H. said. There are only two kinds of people, those who know and those who do not know. The first are said to be the living, and the latter are the dead. Then So a disciple must not allow himself to become depressed. If he feels that his progress is slow because his physical brain, the emotional, the mental bodies are slowly becoming organized, and if one has enough faith in his spiritual self, he will realize that there is activity of a fundamental and spiritual nature going on unperceived by the lower man. So, lower man is nothing to do with this spiritual development. He only gives the foundation. So, all the disciple has to do is to sow the right seed and water the plant daily, and let the rest is in the hands of the higher forces, the divine self. This is what tapaswadhyaya Ishvara pranidhanani. Finally, you leave to him. The candidate thinking he is traveling at too slow a pace, may be doing very useful work on the inner planes. If we are not going all out in this life, we shall no doubt carry forward into the next incarnation all we have learned and made our own in this life, because for nothing is lost or overlooked. Nothing, no one can tip the scales of divine justice. Then in 177, if thou wouldst nirvana reach or cast the prize away, let not the fruit of action and inaction be thy motive, thou of dauntless heart. So remember, a true disciple does not treat the path of holiness in order to gain his own salvation. His motive is always a much grander than that everything what we imagine. So in 178, next, in 178, know that the bodhisattva who liberation changes for renunciation to don the miseries of secret life is called thrice honored. O thou candidate, for O throughout the cycles. The path is one, disciple yet in the end twofold, marked are its stages by 4 and 7 portals. At one end, bliss immediate, and the other, bliss deferred. Both are of merit, the reward, the choice is thine. It's very nice. O here means the taking on of the sorrows of the world as the savior of the world. And you must take that responsibility until the end of this cycle. All great men have the welfare of humanity at heart. Therefore, they have become sometimes unknown to themselves, but channel through which the higher powers can do their work on earth. The path is one. Disciple, the path is one disciple. It tells to the disciple, the path is one. Yet in the end, twofold. So the very fragment, second fragment is titled as the two paths. Marked are its stages by 4 and 7 portals. At one end, bliss immediate, and at the other, bliss deferred. Both are of merit, the reward, the choice is thine. So the path becomes twofold after the disciple has reached enlightenment. He who has to choose between liberation for himself, which is the negation of births and deaths, or return to this dark planet again and again. This is what we end here. But I want to see, to break out of a pattern. So this slide is very nice. Real love begins where nothing is expected in return. Perfection is a road, not a destination. Every day lived adds value to our education and wisdom. So day by day, we must become wise. Day by day, we educate ourselves. This is what our path is. We must see the motive of our action. You know, what is the motive of savage? Motive of the savage is, I want it. But the motive changes as he grows spiritually step by step. When he becomes civilized, then his motive becomes, let us share it. Then when he becomes spiritual man, then his motive becomes, I will help you. Then when he becomes disciple, his motive says, I help, I serve in his name. And when he becomes the master, not I am helping, but the Father in heaven. So this is how School of Eternal Life teaches the steps one by one. And for that, we must break out a pattern. Next, yes. That is what J. Krishnamurti finally says us. To break out of a pattern, one must first understand the pattern. What is that pattern we are following that we must understand? Then only we can break that pattern. Unless it is not possible. So when we study the voice of the silent, we must remember what Buddha taught us, especially the 6 sense doors and 3 feelings. Here there is a word 9 and 4, or 9 and 7, something is there. Somewhere in one of that. 6 senses doors and 3 feeling tones need to be understood. That is, 6 senses door are seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and 6th one is the mind. And feeling tones are 3. One is the pleasant tone, second is the unpleasant tone, and third is the neutral tone. There are 4, we can say, 9 and 4. 9 are these. What I said, 6 senses and 3 tones. That becomes 9. And 4 are, may I be free from danger? May I be happy? May I be healthy? May I love with ease? These are the 4 things which point towards the universal brotherhood. This is what I want to share today. If anybody wants to ask, they can ask.
Yes, so we open up the forum for any questions or comments. All are welcome. Thank you so much, Indeji. It was very nice.
Thank you. I must thank that we have kept steadily studying. So we
Yes,
have
sir.
finished up to next one is the end of the two paths. So and then
Yes.
we will stop. And next after convention or anything afterwards, we will start that.
Okay, sir.
So next Thursday will be
Hmm.
the last one of the two paths.
Okay, sir.
Because the two paths are to the enlightened one. Uh, the first is, yeah, having wish to enter into the spiritual path. This is the first step. Having a deep wish to enter the spiritual path. Second is uh, to get enlightened.
Hmm.
And after getting enlightened, we must follow what we are studying now, the paths and its arhat, to become arhat and helping others is the third step.
Hmm.
So these three steps, the spiritual path, higher spiritual path includes. We are speaking about this. Thank you very much to all of you. And we have a little bit disturbance in the beginning, but all went very well.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Shindeji, and thank you, Gandhinagar Lodge, for your continued effort, especially Geeta, and of course, Mary Kay for stepping in at the last minute and supporting us so beautifully. So let's all join together in closing in gratefulness. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami. Sangam Sharanam Gacchami. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you, everyone.